Today, we're diving into a fascinating sweet mystery. It's a story where the main culprit in a blood sugar investigation might actually turn out to be the hero in disguise. It sounds totally impossible, right? I mean, we're all taught that carbs, especially from something like flour, are basically a one-way ticket to a sugar spike. But what if a traditional, old-school recipe holds a secret that flips that entire idea on its head? All right, so our story and the answer to that big question all starts with this popular winter treat that's about to be put to the ultimate test. Let me introduce you to Aate Pinni. It's this really beloved sweet from Punjab, and just like its name says, its whole foundation is atta, which is whole wheat flour. Yep, you heard that right. The number one ingredient is a pure carbohydrate. So the experiment was super simple. Just eat 2 of these little guys, weighing in at about 85 grams. Nothing fancy, no weird lab conditions, just a straightforward, real-world test to see what this flour-based sweet really does to your glucose levels. Now, before we get to the results, let's talk about what should have happened. Based on pretty much everything we think we know about food and blood sugar. The logic here seems completely foolproof. The star of the show is flour. Flour is carbs, and a big old dose of carbs usually means one thing, and one thing only: a big, fast spike in your blood sugar. It should have been an open and shut case. Or so you'd think. And this wasn't just some random guess. The person actually doing this test went into it fully expecting to see a huge spike. For that exact reason, because the main ingredient is flour. The stage was all set for a very predictable outcome. But then, the data came in, and it wasn't just a little surprising. Honestly, it was just plain baffling. That's it. A blood glucose increase of only 22. Just let that sink in for a second. For a dessert that is primarily made of flour, that is an incredibly low number. This result didn't just bend the rules, it shattered them into a million pieces. It just completely flew in the face of that high spike expectation. So what on earth is going on here? And that's the question that changes everything. How could a sweet that's so heavy on carbs produce such a tiny little ripple in blood sugar? Well, it turns out the answer wasn't in the main ingredient, but in its supporting cast. You see, the flour wasn't telling the whole story. The real secret was hiding in plain sight, in the rich, delicious texture of the panini itself. And here they are, the hidden heroes of our story. The penny was also packed with nuts and, this is the crucial part, a large amount of ghee, which is clarified butter. So this wasn't just a carb bomb, it was a fat-rich powerhouse. To really see the effect of this fat, let's compare the penny to another sweet called rivri. Rivri is pretty much all sugar with very little fat. It's that high fat content in the penny that makes it a completely different ballgame. And would you look at this difference? The low-fat rivri caused a spike of 47, while our high-fat penny barely made a peep at 22. That's less than half the impact. The data is crystal clear. The fat made all the difference in the world. So here's the science behind it, in simple terms. All that ghee and the healthy fats from the nuts, they act like traffic control for your digestion. They literally slow down how quickly the carbs from the flour get absorbed into your bloodstream. They're like perfect little speed bumps that turn a chaotic rush into a nice, smooth ride. So this one little experiment with the traditional sweet really forces us to take a step back and reconsider how we look at our food. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, first off, you can't judge a food by its main ingredient alone. Second, healthy fats aren't the enemy. In fact, they can be an incredibly powerful tool for managing blood sugar. And that leads to the final point, the overall composition of your food. That mix of carbs, fats, and proteins is way more important than just slapping a good or bad label on something. And all of this leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on. For decades, fat was made out to be the villain. But if it can be the hero in a story about sugar, it really makes you wonder, what other food rules that we all live by are just waiting to be broken? What do you think?